This video is brought to you by Sporlan, quality, integrity, and tradition. Complaint today is that this AC right here is not cooling. So sounds like the indoor blower motor's running, but I don't know what else is going on. So let's get this opened up, see what the human interface or whatever tells us, because it'll store the error messages and stuff inside this unit. So this is my human interface. We're gonna hit alarms. Compressor 1, high pressure lockout. Compressor 3, drive lockout. Compressor 3, high pressure lockout. That's not good. Oh, I hate these high pressure lockouts on these things. These drives have a hard time. All right, let's see if we can reset this and see what happens. Reset alarms. Now these technically say 522, but is the unit locked out right now? These are active, so let's try it again. Next thing to look and see is what the actual date in the unit is. Settings, date and time, make sure that it's actually set right. Yeah, it's set right. So it says that this thing went off on lockout on 522, so I wonder if the unit's been down. 759. So this is the only thing that's different, is this needs to be 859 because of daylight savings. Save. So 8:59 a.m. Everything else is correct. What we're gonna do is just go ahead and power cycle the unit or shut it off, and we're gonna check the belts and the filters and stuff before we go too crazy. Then we'll turn it back on and finish diagnosing. But we're gonna start with that because I haven't done a maintenance here in a while. So all right, filters don't look too bad. They were changed in April. Don't look too dirty, so filters are good. Nothing too crazy looking in here. Looks fine. The belt is tight, nice and good. There is no spare, so I need to find out what size it is, because we should have a spare in here. BX61. Okay, blower wheel looks clean, don't see an issue there. Pulley is a little worn, but nothing horrible. So motor pulley and idler pulley are slightly worn, but main drive pulley is fine. Nothing to be too concerned about, just something we'll keep an eye on. We had drive overheat, so this is our compressor drive right here. There's really not much we can do to that. We can pull the cover, make sure there's nothing that's cleanable. That I think is a line reactor. This is the indoor blower drive, and this is the inducer drive. So we'll just pull the cover to this guy real quick. This is a refrigerant cooled drive that controls the compressor, the variable compressor right here. And it's driven by this board, I believe, if I remember right. I believe, or this board. One of the two drives that. And also that board controls the condenser fan motors too. Condenser itself doesn't look bad. I can see light through it really well. Hard for you guys to see, but it doesn't look bad at all. So that seems fine. Don't see any issues like oil or anything on any of the Schraders. They look fine. So that looks good. Okay. So we just need to put the panels back on and then restart this guy and see what it does. This is the drive, right, for the compressors. I pulled the cover off. Don't see anything crazy in here. Everything looks fine. There's going to be a heat sink on the back that the refrigerant connections are going to run into and back behind these two guys right here, and they're going to cool this guy right on the back. I can feel the refrigerant lines coming through right on this underside here. Not really much you're going to be able to see, but it's coming through into there. It's just going to feed refrigerant through to help cool it. So we're going to put this cover back on, try to restart this guy and see what happens. I am all probed up with Measure Quick, and we're just waiting. The indoor blower motor just turned on. I can hear it ramping up. The errors are erased or disappeared because we power cycled the unit. I spun both condenser fan motors. The blades do spin freely, so they're not locked up necessarily. So we're just gonna wait for this to turn on and see how it operates. Is it a condenser fan motor issue, or is it what I fear, a drive compressor issue? We'll see. We've had an issue with this other unit over here, right there, and it's been nothing but problems. I actually had Trane get involved, and they've already changed the compressor, the drive, and it still doesn't fix its problems. I question whether or not the circuit board is part of the problem for that other unit, but Trane's the experts, right? So we'll see what happens. We're just waiting for the delays. Both condenser fan motors are running. We're gonna put this panel on, and we're gonna watch our gauges. Looks like maybe the second stage might have turned on. Second stage is slowly ramping up. We're gonna give it some time and see what happens. Head pressure is climbing awfully fast. Let's see if it stabilizes out. First stage hasn't kicked in yet. This thing starts up weird where the second stage will kick on. Okay, we're just gonna watch it for a few minutes. All right, as the compressor is speeding up, I can hear it speeding up, the head pressure is climbing. It's probably gonna lead to, let's see if it calms down. It's trying to, those condenser fan motors are variable speed too, I believe, so it's trying to maintain, but yeah, it's slowly climbing. This is just the second stage. First stage hasn't turned on yet, but yeah, we're climbing head pressure. Condenser's not dirty either, which makes me wonder if we should start by recovering the charge and weighing it in, seeing if that makes sure we're not overcharged or anything. I want to see that other stage turning on though. But both condenser fan motors are moving, rejecting heat. Yep, both of them are going, doing what they can. But yeah, this condenser is super clean. I could see right through it all the way over here, over here. But it makes me wonder if this thing could potentially be overcharged. It's hard to say. There goes the other stages. But look at that head pressure. We're running elevated head pressure for second stage right now. Let's see what first stage does. First stage is just turning on, so it's gonna be a few minutes for things to back up. But let's go back to second stage. Look at that subcooling, man. Subcooling 33 degrees. Now that's using discharge pressure, but still. But look at that. Look at all of a sudden, head pressure's going down. I'm wondering if the compressor's ramping down. And now that the other ones are on, it's able to control the load more, like it was overheating because it had too much load. All right, we're gonna watch it for a few more minutes. It's interesting, now that the first stage turned on, the second stage has calmed down as far as its head pressure and suction pressure. We're looking, I mean, good for the most part, but we're gonna watch it for a bit. First stage is doing very similar, but look at, we have a high suction pressure because it is absorbing a lot of heat right now. Subcooling looks decent, but again, that's using discharge pressure, so that's kind of a weird thing. But you can see the subcooling's adjusting as the TXV is opening and closing. But that's not too bad. Let's go back to second stage. Second stage is not too bad, but the liquid line's getting a little bit warmer. Our ambient temp outside right now is about 83, 85 degrees, right in there. I find it interesting that on startup, the second stage, now it might be a situation where it does a lead lag setup. I think it does on this unit, but it started the variable speed compressor first, and then that one showed that really high head pressure when it was running with just that compressor. All three compressors are running now. We've got about a 19 degree temp split. We can go right here. Airflow seems about right for what it should be. 20 degree temp split. Let's see. Subcooling and superheat seem pretty good for second stage. Let's go to first stage. First stage is looking pretty darn good too. So see, this unit seems like it's running okay, but it makes me wonder if we're overcharged. You know, you could have some room in there, but I don't understand why that second compressor loaded up so bad and the head pressure went so high and the suction pressure went so high when it started up. because I could hear it ramping up. It started up slow, condenser fan motors turned on, then I heard the compressor speed kick up, and I heard the condenser fan motors kick up, but it's like, then all of a sudden the head pressure went really high. Now, if it was a really hot day, like it's gonna be this weekend, I think it might trip. It's almost like it needs to start up differently or something, I don't know, but I'm not gonna get in there and try to deal with any of that. Like, that's why my only thing that I could think of is maybe go ahead and recover the charge, make sure it's not overcharged. As it's ramping down, it's calming down. But when it was under a heavy load with just the variable speed compressor and all the heat, the 86-degree return air temp or whatever it was, like all that, then it was overloading the compressor. This unit is looking great. Like when the compressor's ramped down and it's running like now, it's the operating pressures, temperatures, everything seemed good. So the question was asked, is there a way to check refrigerant charge without recovering the whole charge? It's a little bit easier on the first stage because it's fixed speed compressors, but on the second stage it's a variable speed compressor. So assuming that the compressor VFD and everything is programmed correctly, the only way to truly check the refrigerant charge is to put this unit into like a full cool mode or charging mode, which I don't know how to do if it is possible, or simply just weigh in the charge and reevaluate after that. Plus, this is a microchannel condenser, so even still, topping the charge, adjusting is really best to weigh in the charge whenever possible. So even for the fixed speed compressors, it's really easy to overcharge this unit very quickly. What kind of concerns me is the error messages that I saw were not just the variable speed compressor. They were the fixed speed compressors too. I believe it was showing high head pressure. That makes me wonder if condenser fan motors are a problem or something happened. I don't know though, you know? Wait, something just shut down. I'm curious what it was. It seems like, did the whole thing just shut down? Let me open this up and look at the display. It's not off on an error. The first stage, the two fixed speed compressors shut down. So it's just running on the variable speed compressor. And as of now, it's looking fine. But again, it may or may not be at full capacity, you know? So the fixed speed compressor are satisfied, and the variable speed is still running. So we have an elevated suction pressure, right? Because it's absorbing heat. They're slowing the compressor down. Subcooling is starting to climb as the compressor's staging. Superheat's climbing a little bit. So far, I mean, other than the elevated suction pressure, it's not too bad. Let's see what my return air temperature is. Outside air is still 83, return air is 68 degrees, but it's also mixing with outside air. The temperature probe is not necessarily catching the outside air mixing. Okay, we're gonna watch it for a few more minutes. So in reality, this is gonna end up, if this doesn't work, because the unit seems to be working fine when the compressor ramps down. So we're gonna start by recovering the gas, see if it's got the right charge, see if it's overcharged. If it's not, then this is a problem for Trane. And I've been trying to get the customer to get rid of these units, but they can call Trane and let Trane deal with this, but I don't feel comfortable putting $10,000 worth of compressor drives and all this different stuff into this unit for it not to work. I'm not about just making money. I'm about things working. I like solutions, and if I can't solve it, I don't want to do the job. So sometimes these units are a little overcomplicated for me, but who knows? We'll see. What do you keep your Vito CTXL? I freaking use it for ice, man. That's awesome, because I knew I needed to put that in the bucket, so that's perfect. It's not waterproof, but hey, it's not gonna hurt nothing. So, all right, let's get this thing. We gotta get it shut down, get the Schraders out, get it recovered. It's gonna be hot, it's 410A, so this guy's definitely gonna trip. We might even have to put some water in the bucket, we'll see. All right, to speed this up, we removed the Schraders, okay? We use large diameter hose coming out of the gauges, 3/8, and then 3/8 going into the recovery tank, okay? We purged everything before, so we opened everything up, left this closed, lift this loose, let it purge vapor, then we tightened it all up and let it open, right? And we're pushing it in. But we also weighed the tank when nothing was in it, when it wasn't in the ice, because in case we have to add water while we're in the recovery process, then that'll throw everything off, right? Because we zeroed out the scale with just ice in there. So it might become a problem. Therefore, if we had to, we could put water in it, keep recovering, and then just figure out how much is in it when we pull the tank out, if that makes sense. All right, so we're just doing the process right now. I should also say that when I put my probes on there and I took them off, the Schraders were stuck and leaking refrigerant. So we're gonna change the Schraders because I pulled the old ones out anyways. Pretty commonly, the discharge Schraders on these units leak. It's a thing that happens with these. So we're gonna change those. So far, we're looking pretty good. We're almost to 8 pounds. It's total of 9 and some change, and we're at 32 PSI. So it's not necessarily looking like it's overcharged. Might even be slightly undercharged, but who knows? We'll see. All right, we are just about done, and it looks like we are gonna end up being slightly undercharged. 9.25 pounds is what the total charge is. And we're just about done recovering. We're gonna let it keep running. Now, the way that we're doing this, we don't have to change the dryer or anything because we're not gonna open the system to atmosphere. We're just recovering the gas and then putting it back in, and we'll make sure we purge, you know, the whole way through the process. Also, recovery tanks can be nasty. We brought a recovery dryer because that was a brand new tank. I vacuumed it down, but I could hear stuff dangling around in it. So we don't want that going into the system. So we're gonna put a dryer on the outlet of the tank when we're charging the system up. All right, we've got a Sporlan catch-all 032, male, female, right? Going this direction. We hooked up to the vapor port. We're gonna invert it because it wouldn't fit because of where the accessory port is. You could use that for a fill indicator thing or whatever. For some of the old recovery machines, they had that. But anyways, clean out too. But that's in the way. So we put it on the vapor. We got to invert the tank, and we'll charge as a liquid with the tank upside down. All right, we have the unit in test mode right now, running just with the second stage. The unit was about 1 pound and some change shy of refrigerant. So we just weighed in the charge. We ended up having to add a little bit of our own refrigerant because we were a little shy. So we got that one back up to snuff. We're gonna go ahead and recover the other circuit too, since we got the recovery machine up here just to verify charge. All right, we just got done recovering. We had the weight written down, so we basically pulled out a little under 14 pounds, which is the factory charge. So it seems like the other one took about 1 pound, and this one's gonna take about 1 pound. So they were actually undercharged, not overcharged. So we're gonna go ahead and charge this back up now, and then evaluate it from there. All right, this time I'm waiting for it to start up on its own. We're all charged up, and I got my gauges off, and I got probes put on. We're also monitoring the other side of the dryer, so we can check to make sure we don't got any restrictions in the dryer once we get running. So I'm watching the second stage because I want to know if this one starts up first, and you know how fast it's spinning, how much the condenser fan motors are running. I want to see if it overloads again. Who knows? There it goes on startup. It went really high, and I think the compressor shut off on high pressure again. So on startup, it's like it has too much load, and then it goes off on high pressure. So that was the second stage. It's so weird. I don't understand why the second stage is starting the way that it does. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. So the condenser fan motors started. They were running at full speed, but it's running too fast on startup, the compressor. And like the condenser fan motors aren't running long enough before it does that. It's so weird. But yeah, we went off on high pressure. And so now we're equalized out. And it went off on a drive fault. Compressor 3 drive fault. But it's running now. Or is it? No, it's not running. We're gonna wait. I don't know if it'll reset on its own or not because it's only an advisory. So it might reset in a second. But the other compressor's turned on. Condenser fan motors ramped up full speed. They're moving air. That one's running. It's just this one that's not running at the moment. Getting ready to turn on. We're gonna watch this second stage. I'm wondering about something too. I wonder if the outside air damper's open and it's adding this tremendous load to it, because I tend to notice higher than normal suction pressure, I think, on startup. The other thing was during test mode, one time the condenser fan motors didn't turn on for a second. So like this thing's just got some weird gremlins in it. We're just waiting for it to restart because we cycled power to it again. See if we can get it to reset and see if it's going to go off on high pressure again. It's still nice in the building, so it's not really hot. But what I wonder is actually for the second stage, if the evaporator is on the top half, then it pulls the hot air from the outside air damper through that half of the coil. Looks like condenser fan motor's just turned on. I could hear him, so we're starting to ramp up right now. So there we go. So head pressure's rising, suction pressure's slowly dropping. Let's see if it stabilizes out or if it goes off on, as the compressor ramps up. Let's see if it overloads again. There it goes. It's cranking. So here we go again. It's gonna do the same thing. That's subcooling. It's going off on high pressure right now. Just went off. It's so crazy. It makes me wonder if that pound of gas was removed for a reason. This is the factory charge, and this thing's just tripping high head. It wasn't this bad when we got here, but it also wasn't as hot as it is right now when we got here. I wonder if I need to pull some gas out of this thing. Maybe it was meant to have a pound out of it. We're gonna try putting a mister on this condensed unit and see how it reacts. Now we have the inverter control board right here, and it's really difficult to read, but it says F000. So it's not, it's just F000. You think in the past when we have drive faults and stuff, it would show an error message right there, but it's not, it's hard to see though too. So we're going to get a nozzle, we're going to wet this condenser down and then start up that second stage and see how it operates with a mister on it. I have heard from pretty reliable sources that even in the Arizona market, this particular unit has real problems above 90 degrees, constant problems. So I'm suspecting that we're starting to have those issues. We'll see though. We have another unit on this roof that does the exact same thing. That's a problem. So, and they've gotten Trane involved in that one. They're probably gonna have to get Trane involved in this one. I wouldn't think it's any thermistors or anything. It doesn't look like there's any cooling fans on the inverter. We're just getting an inverter fault, and then we see the pressure just goes sky high. So something's wrong. But all right, we're gonna wet this condenser, then recycle it or restart it and watch it operate when it's got a wet condenser. Okay, we've got a mister. We're over here sitting in the shade waiting because you got to wait for delays and stuff. The reason why I'm not doing unit test mode is because I want to see the normal operation, right? So how it starts up when I'm not here. So we've got the mister running on it. That's not ideal, but I want to see how that reacts. We've got the factory charge in the unit. I still don't know if the economizer's open. We're just waiting for it to kick on. I heard the indoor blow motor start a second ago, so now we're just waiting for it to ramp up. Looks like we're starting up right now. Go make sure the condenser fan motors are on. So it looks like we're ramping up slowly. They're running? So yeah, condenser fan motors are running, he said. I don't hear them running like crazy though. Are they moving a lot of air or just a little bit?
Like quite a bit.
Quite a bit? Okay. So now we're watching it operate. We're gonna see what it does. Looks like we're climbing. Oh yeah. See, it's gonna go off on a drive fault. It just went off on a drive fault immediately. So the only other thing, even with the mister running on the condenser, is still going off on a drive fault. So the only other thing we could do is pull that pound of gas that I put in it out. If we pull that out and see if it operates any better. Other than that, there's not much more I can do on this. But for whatever reason, the way it stands, that second stage or the first stage is going to turn on. It turns on eventually. So I don't think, honestly, no, I don't think there's anything wrong because, yeah, this thing's just, I know this is the exact same problem that I had with that unit. And here's the thing. Trane doesn't give very much support, if any, for these units. I've even talked to people that work for Trane and they say they have a hard time getting support on these units. These things are frustrating and I don't have time to spend days here playing with these things. They're overcomplicated, and it's not that I'm afraid to dig deep, because if this was a Lennox or a Carrier, well, Lennox I have really good tech support with. Carrier, a little bit better, but not amazing. But Trane is just a, you know, just non-existent tech support. And, you know, that's why I'm just like, well, call Trane. And so what they did for that unit over there was they called Trane, and they still have problems with it. They changed the compressor, the inverter, the dryer, they rebuilt the TXV, and they're still having problems with it. It's just something about these units and these high temps. It's a pain in the butt. But I don't understand what's going on here though. We've weighed in the factory charge. Like I said, the only thing I have left to do is take out that pound of gas that I put in there, because it was about a pound shy. So this guy's restarting right now, so I'm curious how it reacts on a restart. Maybe it's not, or it could be that it is, and it's I think it is. I think it just has a wet condenser. See, I think it's doing better on a restart. So yeah, now that it restarted, I'm telling you, on startup, there's something about the startup speed of that compressor. It goes off on that drive fault, because now it restarted on its own, and it's not high at all. And it's the mister is helping to reduce the heat load on it right now. It's dropping the heat load. So the crappy thing about the mister is we're gonna have to leave it on there, because if it's working, we're gonna leave it be. But I'm still gonna tell them to call Trane. They're gonna have to figure out what's going on with these units. I really, really want them to change these units. So here's the thing about these things. So these units, variable capacity, dehumidification, variable speed inducer motor, variable speed condenser fan motors, wireless thermostats, and a controls package. I have no access to the tracer controls software, so I can't adjust their thermostat settings at all. And I don't have the support from Trane to really troubleshoot the unit besides basic stuff. I do have some friends that I can lean on, but I've kind of inquired a little bit about it, and there's not a lot of information. I have pretty much all the good documents on these units, and this thing is just being a problem, and it's doing the exact same thing as that unit was doing that I got Trane involved on, and it's just a mess. My thing is that they're gonna say it needs a compressor, a inverter, and a liquid line filter dryer and a recharge. I don't want to put that $10,000 into this unit, because I doubt that it's going to work. I think it's a programming issue, and I wonder how you program that board to program the drive. I also don't understand why they're starting up second stage first. Like, why wouldn't they start up first stage and then slowly ramp up second stage? I think that would help in this situation too. But I'm curious what you guys think in the comments. Like, I mean, do you guys know, are you able to reprogram the drive for the compressors to start up slower and to load up different? I'm still reluctant too though, because this unit was locked out on high pressure for both first and second stage. The condenser fan motors are controlled from the inverter board for the inverter compressor, which is the second stage. But it's weird though, because it's starting up with the second stage first. It's like they're doing lead lag, but they're not, because each time the second stage, which is the variable speed compressor, has started up first. And then the first stage, or circuit 1, turns on, which are the 2 fixed speed compressors that are 5 tons each. This is a 17.5 ton unit. So I hate to do it, but I'm going to leave that mister on this thing, because we've got a hot weekend coming, and I think that might help to keep this unit operating maybe. And then I'm going to tell them to get Trane involved. But what would you guys do in this situation? Are you guys reprogramming the drive? Can you do that? If you guys work for Trane and you don't want to put it in the YouTube comments, shoot me an email, hvacrvideos@gmail.com. I'll keep it completely confidential. I would like to know what your thoughts on this unit is. So I'm getting a inverter fault, and we had a high pressure code. When I started the unit up in test mode, I didn't show it on video, but one time in test mode, it started up without the condenser fan motors, and then they slowly came on. That's the other thing. I feel like the condenser fan motors should be running long before, at full speed, before the compressors turn on. I don't feel like they should have a slow ramp up like it's doing, because basically the compressor turns on, it starts ramping up, and so does the condenser fan motors. I feel like the condenser fan motors on startup should be full blast, and then if they want to vary them and slow them down based on discharge temp or something, so be it. But if I understand things correctly with my research, the condenser fan motors are controlled from the variable speed compressor inverter. So basically when the inverter speeds up, it speeds up, I think. But how does that work if it was to start the non-variable compressors first? It's just overcomplicated on this unit. So what would you guys do in this situation? Right now mine's running. It's running good. Not seeing any issues here. It's just that initial startup that's a problem. So I'm not going to take any gas out of this unit, because I don't want Trane to come in and say it was undercharged. Trane's going to come in, it's got the perfect charge in both circuits, and it's giving them problems. So I think it has something to do with the startup speed of the compressor, and the startup speed of the condenser fan motors, in my opinion. You know, I don't like these units, and the reason why I don't like them is because I don't have the support, all right? If I had support from Trane, then I'd probably like these a lot more. They are confusing, and I'm not gonna say they're not a good unit. Like, they have a really nice build quality. Trane does a really good job. Like, it looks good, looks great actually. But just all the variable capacity and the control schematic or the controls setup, like, I just don't understand it. So to each their own, you know. I'm really comfortable on Linux and Carrier units because I work on those all the time. Trane, I don't have that many, and I don't have this one. You know, I only have one set of these variable speed units, so I'm not super familiar. So I'm genuinely curious, have you guys dealt with these units? Have you ever had these problems with the inverter faults? All last summer we dealt with it on the other unit, now we're dealing with it on this unit. So the interesting thing is the unit we're working on today, that has worked since 2014 pretty good. All of a sudden we're starting to see problems. And on the other unit, the one that I've had Trane come out on, that one worked for a good 10 years too, up until basically last year, and then it became a problem. So it makes me wonder if something's starting to fail in the inverter, but you know, I don't know. I'm really curious what you guys think. Let me know. If you guys have information, shoot me an email. Those of you that have shot me lots of great Trane information, thank you very much. I've been trying to read it. It really doesn't answer the questions that I'm having with these inverter faults, but yeah. So last but not least, before I leave, I didn't show it on camera. I'm gonna verify we've got proper voltage going to the unit. I'm gonna check the temp drop across the dryer. If I don't see anything, then I'm not gonna come back on this footage, and I'm just gonna tell them to get Trane out here. I'm gonna go ahead and leave the mister on there for the weekend. It's not ideal. They really need to get them out because that's gonna calcify the condenser and cause problems. But we have a heat wave coming, so this might be the only thing that keeps them running through the weekend. I really appreciate you guys making it to the end of the video. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. It really does help out the channel. Leave me some feedback down in the comments. Shoot me an email, hvacrvideos@gmail.com. If you want to support the channel, the easiest way to support the channel is just watch the videos from beginning to end. That really is the easiest way. But if you want to do it other ways, you can do it by going to my website, hvacrvideos.com, where we have hats and stickers available. Those are packaged from my house. My wife packs them up and we ship them. So bear with us. We try our best to get them out in a decent time, but you are supporting a small business when you do purchase merch from the website, hvacrvideos.com. You can also support the channel via Patreon, PayPal, YouTube channel memberships. There's links in the show notes. Last but not least, head on over to TrueTechTools.com. If you see any of the tools that I use in this video, recovery machines, scales, vacuum pumps, micron gauges, I picked all that stuff up from TrueTechTools.com. I have an affiliate program with them, big picture, one word. That is one single word, big picture, no space in it, okay? If you use that offer code at checkout, you get a nice discount on majority of the items, and I get a small commission, so it's a great way to help support the channel. Thank you so very much. Leave me some feedback. Let me know what you think. I'm sure I'm gonna get blasted for everything I did in this video, but I did my best because I'm not super familiar with these units. So thanks so much, and we'll catch you on the next one.